Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
To the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and to the members of the Prabhupada Disciples Association and the Hare Krishna Society. And we want to thank you, all of you. There's only a few at the beginning of the program right now, but irrespective of that, it's being recorded for future review by others. And we want to thank you for donating money to our GoFundMe campaign to reprint the original Delhi Bhagavatams that Prabhupada produced in his early years prior to coming to America. So these editions were printed in 1962, 64, 65, and then Prabhupada took this set with him on the Jaladuta boat, the freighter, where he got passage from Sumati Maharajji, who owned the Scindia Steamship Company, and came to America with them and used them as a means of survival, not only to pay the very basic expenses for living that he had back then, but it was the means by which he was able to get other people to become interested in the science of self-realization, because these books that he had written were translated and provided purports with explanations of the meanings of Shruta, very deep meanings of the Vedic teachings, some restatements of the Vedic teachings with his purports would give interested people who were serious about spiritual life. I was listening to a lecture by Srila Prabhupada today, actually. He was talking about having a guru. Because a guru is not a fad or a fashion. A guru is not a position for business, the guru business. The position of guru, or Diksha Guru, in our case, is Uttama-ācārya, the highest level of spiritual understanding, and through his transcendental position, he's able to deliver messages of truth to his disciples, especially the ones that he would initiate as Diksha Guru. So the business of Guru is to save his disciples and others from repeated birth and death. That is the business of Guru. And It is done through the transmission of transcendental sound. This is the essence of our teaching of Bhakti Yoga. I know there's a dispute about Vani Vapu in our group. People are saying, oh, you have to have Vapu, personal association of someone. But if a person is a third-class devotee posing as a guru, pretending, you can put on all kinds of decorations and pose yourself as so-called advanced. You can even demonstrate some kind of false symptoms of ecstasy, which we've seen amongst many people. They're walking around pretending they look like Lord Chaitanya. Oh, they dance like Lord Chaitanya. They speak about it as they're in some kind of intimate relationship with Lord Chaitanya, like Swarup Damodar, Ramananda Roy, or the intimate associates of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A third-class man becomes a first-class man overnight, is involved in all kinds of difficulty, and even following the basic practices of Bhakti Yoga, like chanting rounds or avoiding any kind of sinful activity in association with the opposite sex, and at the same time, their guru. What a joke. This is a fraud and propaganda. That's all it is. This is a propaganda of certain people in order to justify their so-called guru business, a compromised business that's going on and has been going on for many years. It's very tragic. Because Prabhupada, the position of guru, of a bona fide spiritual master, is everything he says is Shastra. And that's why it's imperative as disciples of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda that we study very carefully his books. We study very carefully his letters, and we study very carefully his lectures. So all these different mediums of sound that he produced, it is our responsibility to hear them carefully in a humble and submissive manner, and then repeat as it is to others. This is the essence of our philosophy. And I wanted to read, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu asked me to read this small insert that I did in the Prabhupada Disciples Association. It's a very, let's hope I can find it without too much difficulty. It's a small quote from Srila Prabhupada on how we should practice Krishna consciousness. And it goes like this. Prabhupada, unless we take care of the books and preach and read ourselves, understanding the philosophy, this Hare Krishna will be finished within a few short years, because there will be no life. How long can one artificially go on? Hare Krishna, Hare Bo. That will be artificial, no life. Without preaching, without understanding philosophy, you cannot keep your strength. This means that you must read. Hold on. You must read thoroughly every day. So many books we have got, and Bhagavad is so perfect that any verse you read, you get a new enlightenment. It is so nice, either Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavad, but it is not ordinary writing. It is not the opinion we are placing as it is without opinion. And this was a morning walk on December 12th, 1973 in Los Angeles. So, without opinion, this is the disease of the third-class man. He wants to give his opinion on the preaching and the explanations of Shastra by the pure devotee, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Recently, someone in our group, our Prabhupada disciple group, a larger group, passed away. Oh, yes. Now, he's being glorified as such by so many people for distributing books. Huh. Very interesting. But what kind of books did he sanction? Changed books. All changed books. Had no power of discrimination philosophically between understanding the difference of an original unedited book and an edited book by some third-class man. All on the pretense that the GBC have the authority to make all decisions. Again, another misunderstanding by this person. And as such, redirecting the whole sampradaya in the wrong direction. And people are glorifying these people. Oh, you're a great devotee. You work so hard. Everybody works hard, by the way. Even a person that has a regular job is working all the time, day and night, selfless. Even people in McDonald's work hard. But are they working smart or are they active foolish? What is active foolish? Prabhupada said active, foolish intelligent, I should say. That is the most dangerous intelligence there is. Someone who's active, or I should say it's active foolish, active foolish. Someone that's active, but they're doing the wrong thing. And that's the case that's going on in the current ISKCON world, unfortunately. And it's important for us to go back and read all of the information about Prabhupada, and we've been doing that in Prabhupada's diaries. And we're going to go back to the diaries today and take a look at them. As Prabhupada is progressing forward with the establishment of the ISKCON movement back in September 19th, 1966. Interesting date. That's also my birthday. So Prabhupada arrived in New York actually on September 19th, 1965. So this is the 1-year anniversary of his arrival. And so we're seeing here, he's basically putting up his ledger of income and expenses. So like that, and there's that picture of Prabhupada at the bottom there. You can see him, if you should slide that down, please. You can see him in his chadar, he looks so stately. Then Thursday, October 22nd. Yeah, there we are. Keep going. No, the other way. Thank you. So there's Prabhupada in his chadar. Look how nice he looks. And Thursday, September 22nd, it counts to 4 boys, Bruce, Charles, Steve, and Keith, initiated with Harinam. And Donald sent some apples by post and thank you. So he's making disciples here, and that Bruce is Brahmananda. And Keith, I guess, would be, oh, here it is. Brahmananda, Chutananda, Satrup, and Kirtananda, Steve. Just see how that ended up. And there's a picture of Prabhupada at the bottom. Very early days, very simple. Movement certainly has changed. All these big temples in India and all the rest of it, amazing. Friday, September 23rd, today Visa Office sent their decision not to extend further to me to stay. So the visa has been declined. The devotees, of course, will assemble some funds and support and change the course of history. All the members are startled. They want me to stay. We went to perform kirtan out of New York, arranged by Green, Joshua Green, I guess it was, Yoginath. We are invited by the Ananda Ashram. And then Saturday, September 24th, over at the next page, you see again a ledger a lot more money coming in. There's $378 on the September 25th, 1966. So 377.54. Gradually, it's a sign that things are advancing, getting better. And there's Prabhupada sitting at a better desk, more suitable for him to do his work. Just slide that down. Thank you. And here we have Monday, the 26th. Today, the trustees resolved that legal steps should be taken for my stay. They're prepared to spend up to $500 for this purpose. So that's moving along. And then finally, we're going to read a short excerpt from an interview with Allen Ginsberg for Prabhupada Leela-mrita given around 1979. Swami Bhaktivedanta was having difficulty getting a permanent visa. Now remember, Allen Ginsberg was some kind of a hippie poet back then, who had some reputation. So that's why he got the opportunity to speak. He had some notoriety. He had a lawyer whom I had met. He seemed like a naive local lawyer, but somebody Srila Prabhupada met from Ananda Ashram. I couldn't figure this guy out. I met him in the Jewish vegetarian restaurant a couple of times and talked to him on 2nd Avenue. At that time, I was having problems with the Narcotics Bureau, which was trying to set me up for a bust. And that year, J. Edgar Hoover put me on the dangerous security list, and the narcs made several attempts to frame me. So I went to Robert Kennedy's office in Washington to put in a counter pressure and complain and to warn them that someone might bring marijuana into my apartment, bust the door down and accuse me of having it. I had a long talk about this with Kennedy. Later, I'd gone back to see his secretary, and he came back into the office in his shirt sleeves to see one of the secretaries. I said, "Oh, there's something I forgot. I was going to sing a little song." He said, "Okay, I got a minute." So I sang 8 verses of Hare Krishna mantra, and he said, "What's that?" And I said, "When you hear this, it's supposed to bring immediate liberation." So he said, "Well, the guy up the block needs it more than I do," pointing up to the White House and Johnson, who was running the Vietnam War. That was Kennedy's introduction to Hare Krishna. So Prabhupada had certainly been influencing the spreading of the holy name. Later on, when the Swami was having trouble, he asked around everybody who could help him. And I said, "Well, let's see now. We could write to Kennedy. It's just a normal thing, you know. That's what senators are for." In the case, Kennedy knew who I was, and I knew Kennedy people, or I was somewhat a celebrated literary figure. So I wrote a letter saying the Swami was good. It should be taken seriously. So I wrote Kennedy a little letter saying, here was this nice Swami who was really doing something interesting, bringing Hare Krishna in his work could only be good. And if we're having trouble, that could only be bad. Is there anything they could do to facilitate and make sure that he didn't have any difficulties, that he really was a legitimate Swami and was something great? I don't know if it helped or not. So it had been originally referred by Ram Das. So some interesting sort of look at back in 1966 on Prabhupada's effort to bring about the development of Krishna consciousness early in New York City in 1966. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. We'll move forward with the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava, and then we'll have the reading and discussion with Caitanya-caritāmṛta with His Grace Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu. All glories to the Sankirtan movement.
Sai. Jaya Radha Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta ki jai. Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Girivardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Swami Bhaktivedanta ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Jamuna Mai ki jai. Tulasi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Swami Bhaktivedanta ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you from Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskritya naram cheva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam and Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead, Narayana, 2, to the Nara-Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author, from Srimad Bhagavatam 1-4. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta. As we do every week, we will be reading a few select verses from the Adi Lila of Caitanya-caritāmṛta, where Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, the author, is explaining the meaning and the great benefit of hearing this powerful transcendental literature. This is from Adi Lila, chapter 1, text number 18. Jai Jai Sri Caitanya Jai Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Glory to Sri Caitanya and Nityananda. Glory to Advaita Chandra, and glory to all the devotees of Sri Gaura, Lord Chaitanya. Text number 19. 18 Thakur Gaudiya ke karye chanoyat masat. 18 Charana Vandan Tire Morenat. These 3 deities of Vrindavana, Madan Mohan, Govinda, and Gopinatha, have absorbed the heart and soul of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, followers of Lord Chaitanya. I worship their lotus feet, for they are the lords of my heart. Text number 20. Grante Rarambi Kauri Mangala Charana Guru Vaishnav Bhagavan Tinera Smarana. In the beginning of this narration, simply by remembering the spiritual master, the devotees of the Lord, and the personality of Godhead, I have invoked their benedictions. Text number 21. Tinera Smarane Ai Vigna Vinashana Anayase Ai Nijavanchita Purana. Such remembrance destroys all difficulties and very easily enables one to fulfill his own desires. Text number 22. Se Mangala Charanoi Trivida Prakar Vastu Nirdesha Shirvad Namaskara. The invocation involved 3 processes: defining the objective, offering benedictions, and offering obeisances. Again, welcome everyone. Today we will be reading from Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, chapter 4, text number 226 and 229. All synonyms, translations, and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Siddhvare pravartela kaliyuga dharma, Caitanya dase jane sabamarma. Siddhvare, in that way, pravartela, he initiated Kali Yuga of the age of Kali, Dharma, the religion, Caitanya of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Dāsa, the servant, Jane knows, these, Sabha, all, Marma, secrets, translation. Thus he initiated the Dharma for the age of Kali. The devotees of Lord Chaitanya know all these truths. Purport. Lord Chaitanya is Sri Krishna himself, the absolute enjoyer of the love of the gopis. He himself assumes the role of the gopis to taste the predominated happiness of transcendental mellows. He appeared in that mode, but simultaneously he propagated the religious process for this age in the most fascinating way. Only the confidential devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can understand this transcendental secret. Text 227 and 228. Advaita-ācārya Nityananda Srinivas Gadadhara Damodar Murari Haridas Aryata Chaitanya Krishna Bhaktagan Bhakti Bhave Shirodari Sabara Charan Advaita-ācārya Nityananda, Lord Nityananda, Srinivasa, Srivas Pandit, Gadadhara, Gadadhar Pandit, Damodara, Swarup Damodar, Murari, Murari Gupta, Haridasa, Haridas Thakur, Ara, other, Yata, all, Caitanya Krishnera, of Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Bhaktagan, devotees, Bhakti Bhave, with a devotional attitude, Shire, on my head, Dari, I take, Sabara, of all of them, Charana, the lotus feet. Translation. Advaita-ācārya, Nityananda, Srivas Pandit, Gadadhara, Swarup Damodar, Murari Gupta, Haridasa, and all the other devotees of Sri Krishna Chaitanya, bowing down with devotion, I hold their lotus feet on my head. Purport. The author of Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta teaches us that we must offer our respectful obeisances to all such pure confidential devotees of Lord Chaitanya, if we indeed want to know him in truth. Text 229. Shashtasloke rekorhiloya abasa, mulashloke rarta shuna kariye prakasha, shashtaslokera, of the 6th verse. This Kahila has been spoken, Abhasa, a hint, Mula Shlokera, of the original verse, Artha, meaning, Shuna, please hear, Kariye, Prakasha, I am revealing. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. I've given a hint of the 6th verse. Now please hear as I reveal the meaning of that original verse. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaham Namaum Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Bhagavad Vandanam Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam kadatihi visheshataham adadanastrinam danter idam yachi punaha punaham Srimadrupapadam bhoja dhulisyam janma janmani amsho bhagavato smyaham sadadasu asmi sarvata tatkripa pikshako nityam tatprishta shatkaromi svam Sri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. In one of our previous readings, we brought up a particular pastime with Srila Prabhupada. When Srila Prabhupada was once asked, Prabhupada, what about the big devotees in this movement? And Prabhupada's immediate reply was, I'm the only big devotee in this movement. Some of you or most of you might be familiar with a letter that Prabhupada wrote in the middle 1980s to one devotee named Gopi Jana Vallabha Dasa, where Prabhupada described that we have no such thing as big or small devotee in this movement. While it is an undeniable fact that Prabhupada, based on the service attitude and the risk that many devotees took, was very appreciative of the service, of the dedication and surrender of many of these original pioneers in the movement who took responsibility and great risk to spread the mission. We do not want to deprive anyone of the credit, the rightful credit that is due. That should be properly done. However, we should be mindful. Prabhupada was always very careful to emphasize to his disciples, especially this last class of disciples, those pioneers or leaders or managers, to follow the system that he had introduced without change, without concoction. Why? Because Prabhupada, of anybody, knew the history of how his Guru Maharaj institution had fallen to pieces, had lost its momentum on account of these deviations of whimsical ways, changing the system that had been established by the Acharya. Now, it is very important when we read this verse here by Krishnadas Kaviraj, where he describes that he is holding, he says, this is text number 228. Says Advaita Acharya Nityananda Srivas Pandit Gadadhar Swarup Damodar Murari Gupta Haridasa and all the other devotees of Sri Krishna Chaitanya, bowing down with devotion, I hold their lotus feet on my head. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The author of Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta teaches us that we must offer a respectful obeisance to all such pure, confidential devotees of Lord Chaitanya, if we indeed want to know him in truth. Now, this is a very important point, because there is a very insidious philosophy that infiltrated our movement at some point, where some people taught that they were so much better than others because they had more Vapu association with Srila Prabhupada. They got more letters from Prabhupada. They spent more time in Prabhupada's room personally with him. So they started to think that we are better devotees. We are more senior devotees. We know better than the rank and file devotees. Now, this kind of nonsense can gradually go up and up and up to all kinds of nonsensical speculative ideas. Very important. It's interesting that during the time of Bhaktivedanta Thakur and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Bhaktivedanta Thakur used to publish a journal called Sajjana Toshani, in which he was printing different articles on Gaudiya Vaishnavism, Lord Chaitanya, the movement of Lord Chaitanya, the importance of Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhaktivedanta Thakur was a great scholar, both in Sanskrit, Bengali, Persian, Urdu. He knew English. He knew many languages, like 6 or 7 languages. He was a judge in the British system, and he was a very accomplished Acharya. And at some point in one of these literatures, he explained that that the Sampradaya of Lord Chaitanya had been infiltrated. This is from the Sajjana Toshani in 1915, 18.2, page 13 and 14. Quote, at the time of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, those faithful to him kept apart from non-devotees to avoid contamination. Seeing this, the personality of Kali sent his representative in disguise to pollute the Vaishnava Sampradaya. Posing as Vaishnavas, they spread their wicked doctrines and appeared so intelligent and devoted that only pure devotees could detect their real identity. Most devotees, not only the most neophyte, were enchanted by their tricks. In this way, Kali's agents expertly introduced karma, jnana, and anya vilas in the Vaishnava Sampradaya and caused Shuddha Bhakti to vanish from this world. Now, people may ask, well, why are you reading this? Well, there's great meaning in all the statements of our previous Acharya. I've been asked many times by different devotees, why does Prabhupada make statements, for example, in the Srimad Bhagavatam and in the Caitanya-caritāmṛta about pseudo-devotees, about envious devotees, about non-devotees in address of Vaishnavas, or karmis in address of devotees? What is all this all about? Well, we have to use our intelligence. We have to understand carefully from study of Srila Prabhupada's books and purports, detailed, analytical, thorough study of his books to understand the symptoms of real devotees and pseudo-devotees, of those who really follow properly and those who are mere imitators. Because if we don't understand the difference, it may be very dangerous to our spiritual life. We may be misled by individuals who may be very expert at posing and posturing and claiming a status of spiritual advancement or understanding, which they have not realized, not achieved, and many times do not comprehend and understand Prabhupada's teachings in their pure and original forms. We have seen so many of this since the departure of Srila Prabhupada on November 14, 1977. We have to be very careful, because many devotees have asked me, and also Vishwakarma and others, why is it that you people keep repeating the same points again and again about following without change, about the original books? Well, because that's the first fundamental point. How many times did Prabhupada tell us, books are the basis? This transcendental movement is based on his books, on His Divine Grace's books. And these people who think that I was with Prabhupada, I know, I was a senior devotee, I was one of the best men, I know better than all of you, and you people should really listen to what we have to say. And if you ask too many questions, you're all envious. Okay, Mr. Special, let's remind ourselves here what Prabhupada is writing here. In this purport, it is mentioned all the devotees, the other devotees of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. There's another place in the Caitanya-caritāmṛta where Krishnadas Kaviraj explained there is no such thing as one higher or lower devotee of Lord Chaitanya. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada considered all of his disciples on the same transcendental platform. Now, for management purposes, yes, Prabhupada did delegate some people to manage his society, but he gave guidelines, he gave restrictions, He gave plenty of instructions of how to do things properly. And one cannot use the argument, oh, I was so confidential with Prabhupada. I knew Prabhupada so much that I really knew better than everybody else, and I can introduce so many things. Well, you can try that. You've tried that before, and we can see how did that go for you. Not too good. Now, we cannot measure success, namely just by money and number of followers in temples. There's a conversation where one senior man asked Srila Prabhupada, well, what if one has many followers? And Prabhupada's reply, well, we have to see whether people follow the process properly, whether they follow the instruction properly. And that brings me to a very next important point. This is a lecture on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 6, text number 8, in Vrindavan, India, on November 30th, 1976. November 30th, 1976, a lecture on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 6, text number 8. Srila Prabhupada says, what Krishna said 5,000 years ago, the same thing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. Same thing. There was no change. There was no change between the statement of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Narottam Das Thakur, Sadhu Shastra. As Shastra, there is no change. Not that modernized, the Shastra should be changed. No, that is nonsense. That is not Shastra. Shastra cannot be changed. Circumstantially, it will be changed, seasonal changes. No, that is not Shastra. Shastra means it is perpetual. What Krishna said 5,000 years ago, or Krishna said 40 million years ago, some 40 millions of years ago to the sun god, Imam vivashvate yogam proktavan naham avyayam, Bhagavad Gita 4:1. He says, I'm talking to you that Puratanam Yogam. Not that because it has passed millions of years and now it is a different time, so I will have to change. No, he said, I'm talking to you that very old system. Is it not? Just see, the Shastra cannot be changed. God's word cannot be changed. Then what will be the difference between God and ourselves? He is always perfect. He is always perfect. What he said 40 millions of years ago, what he said 5,000 years ago, that is also correct, up to date. That is Shastra. Not that so many years have passed and it has become old. Now let us reform it and put it in a new way. No, you can put the same thing in a new way, but you cannot change the principle. Sadhu Shastra Guru Bhakya Tinete Karya. Shastra is never changed. And the Sadhu means who follows the Shastras. He is Sadhu. He also does not change Sadhu, Shastra, and Guru. Guru means who follows the Shastra and Sadhu. So there are three, the same. A Guru will not change. That it was spoken 5,000 years ago, that is not applicable now. Now I'm giving you something new, jugglery. He is useless. Sadhu Shastra, Guru Bhakya, Tineti Karya. Yashastra Vidimutsrijya Vartate Kama-karataha Nasiddhim Avapnoti. Bhagavad Gita 16:23. These things are there. So this is a very important instruction from Srila Prabhupada. Why is Prabhupada repeatedly emphasizing this point about no change, no addition, no subtraction, don't bring anything new, don't concoct new ways? In 1972, there was some attempt by some devotees to bring a yoga village and a yoga roadshow. When Prabhupada heard about this, he said immediately, stop this. Stop this. This will ruin everything. And Prabhupada explained, our method is to have kirtan, distribute Bhagavad Gita, distribute prasadam. This is the standard method of preaching established by the Acharya, by the Sampradaya Acharya, Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada was not pleased to see these changes. And at different times in our movement, he expressed very serious concern about devotees who tended to ask different questions about deity worship or trying to change some of the methods of deity worship. There was one famous letter in the 1970s with a devotee who had asked Srila Prabhupada about a flute with Lord Jagannath. And Prabhupada said, "Why are you asking me these nonsense questions?" And he said, the greatest danger to our movement is when we will invent new ways for worshiping the deities. And I see many devotees have so many different interpretations. Oh, Prabhupada said this, Prabhupada said that, Prabhupada said to make a booklet to worship the deities. Okay, Prabhupada gave a lot of instruction. But where did you get your information from? Big pundits. Who authorized you to go to this neomat, that neomat, to bring him new ideas that Prabhupada did not bring in? Prabhupada gave a specific instruction to do things in a specific way. They went beyond that. And some of them were so clever, they started to find fault with Prabhupada, claiming that Prabhupada's way of how he instructed us to offer bhoga was wrong because it was not according to the Shastra. So we have some disciples who were thinking that they knew more than the Acharya. Very dangerous tendency. Very dangerous tendency that has been manifested. And this should not be allowed to continue, to proliferate. Those who are serious about following Prabhupada, those who are serious about spiritual life, those who are serious about protecting the legacy of Srila Prabhupada should take note of these points and not fall prey to the propaganda of money mongers, of sahajiyas, of businessmen in the dress of devotees. What Prabhupada refers to in the 8th and 9th canto of the Bhagavatam as karmis in the dress of devotees. What does Prabhupada say in the Caitanya-caritāmṛta about Kali Chelas? One who is only interested in earning money in the dress of a Vaishnava? We have to learn from these things. These things are not written just to stay on the shelf. They're written for the devotees to learn, to get lessons, very valuable lessons from Srila Prabhupada, and not fall prey to false propaganda, regardless of where it comes from, regardless of so-called senior devotees, so-called managers, so-called confidential devotees. Be aware, take shelter of the Acharya, take shelter of the instruction. That is the protection. Just like if you buy a property in America or Canada or many countries around the world, you buy a house, along with buying the house, it's recommended that you buy insurance. Because if something happens to the house, if there is a fire or an explosion or something and the house is burned down, you have some recourse. There is some protection, some kind of financial protection. So the real insurance policy for devotees is to take shelter of the Acharya. And those persons who are posing because of their physicality or so-called living presence as great authorities, be aware of what they say. You test it. You test it whether or not what they say is in accordance with Prabhupada's statements. Just like experienced legal practitioners, when they deal with companies, they will check, what is that company? Is it still active? Is it still registered with the Secretary of State or the legal body that sanctions and regulates companies? Not simply that anybody can say, I have a company. Okay, that's good. Are you active? Are you bankrupt? You go to the bank and try to borrow money, they will check. It's called a BK search. BK means a bankruptcy search, and a lit search, a litigation search. Have you had a judgment against you? They want to know, who are you? What is your financial situation? Similarly, as devotees, we have to use our intelligence and not be swayed by false propaganda of Kali Chelas and Karmis in the dress of devotees. This is a very important point. We see that Bhaktivedanta Thakur was warning people in his time about Kali Chelas, the personality of Kali, trying to infiltrate the Vaishnava Sampradaya. And we have seen in our lifetime many Kali Chelas, pretenders, bluffers, liars, prevaricators, posing as so-called acharyas, trying to present themselves as authorized, appointed acharyas. Oh, really? And we're supposed to believe you? We're supposed to accept this nonsense? Be aware, don't fall prey to false propaganda, to whom it may concern. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Haribol, glories to Prabhupada, and thank you very much for your important explanation of these situations that are present in our current Vaishnava movement created by Srila Prabhupada, that some people are taking advantage of his success for their own personal success. And it is unfortunate that a lot of innocent people are being deceived by them, and they cannot understand this deception. They don't, because they're innocent in many regards, and they're looking for some kind of insight into spiritual life, and they get a taste from these false preachers who can be and are very deceptive. For example, there are a lot of so-called leaders in the ISKCON group, big leaders, that don't chant their rounds. Oh, they're telling people, oh, you should chant your rounds, and you should read the books, and you should go out and sell books. They don't go out and sell books or distribute them. They can't lead kirtans. They don't know how to cook in the kitchen. They don't chant their rounds. They don't study Prabhupada's books seriously and work cooperatively with their god brothers, but they're leaders, so-called, in pink robes. Very deceptive. And it has been going on, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, as we know, since 1970, since the early days of Prabhupada's mission. Deception, very unfortunate. I know here in Canada, we had a very positive, sincere group of people that joined Prabhupada's mission. Actually, in Hamilton here, for everyone's information, we had 19 Prabhupada disciples join from this city alone. It's a small city. Back there, it was only 500,000 people. They had nobody from Toronto that joined the Hare Krishna movement. It was all people from outside that city that went there and began the movement. So Hamilton was shut down, unfortunately, by some people that were in charge, so-called. And we all moved to Toronto and helped build that Toronto situation into what would become at a certain time a glorious victory, Prabhupada said, a topmost triumph for Krishna. And just see, as time has gone on, that movement that we helped Prabhupada develop has disintegrated into a Hinduization of a great opportunity to spread the Sankirtan mission to the people of Canada. And some people came and took responsibility for being in the leadership role, but they were not leaders. They were simply administrators. Recently, one of them just passed away. Everybody's glorifying this person as some great Vaishnava, but he ruined the Canadian Yatra because of his deceptive practices. Very deceptive. For example, they glorify this person for distributing books globally. He didn't sell books. At least some of us went to O'Hare Airport. At least we went on the streets. We took buses and went door to door and street to street and intersection to intersection. Personally, to sell books and preach to others. Did this person ever do it? Never. Did they ever go on street Sankirtan for 8 or 10 hours a day? No. But they're pure devotees now? What is this? Very great deception. In fact, we're getting a lot of publicity about it. I just listened to this one particular person who was the private servitor or secretary of this individual that recently deceased, and it was remarkable to hear what he was saying and how revealing it was about the character of this person through the lips of this private servant. And if you get a chance, you can hear it. Certainly no great pastimes of Lord Chaitanya being reflected, but yet people are thinking that. Because senior devotee, everyone, a senior devotee is what? Senior devotee is a humble servant. That's what a senior devotee is. Servant of the servant of the servant of the pure devotee. The more we can serve each other, the greater we become. As you know, Prabhupada had told me that at my initiation in Detroit. It's a very famous story. And someone said, well, you're constantly repeating this story. Well, what do you want me to do? Make up another one? I got up in front of Prabhupada in the Detroit Temple room on Jefferson Avenue. I stumbled up in front of him, very nervous. I really didn't know much of the philosophy. Somehow or other, we got dragged into this mission back then. And Prabhupada looked at me when he announced my name, Vishvakarma Das. Everybody cheered. Oh, wow. Because it was, I didn't even know what the name meant. But other people in the room understood, oh, well, that was a good name, Vishvakarma Das. Yeah. Chief engineer to assist Lord Brahma in the construction of the universe. So a very important name, etc. But Prabhupada looked at me, he said, but you should never think that you're a chief engineer. Don't become like that. But always remember, become the servant of the chief engineer. And this way you'll become great. So greatness is based on humility. Greatness means is based on practical service. I was mentioning to Krishna Katha today on the phone about Murli Krishna. Well, Murli Krishna is a devotee from Buffalo, New York, and Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu knows him. And him and his brother Lakshmishwar, they were from a very rich family. His grandfather was the founder of Arrow Shirts Company, and they have a 400-acre architecture park right now in that area that he inherited. But Murli was a very unique person, despite his high birth, relatively speaking, in terms of born into a first-class wealthy family. He had a strong desire to serve Srila Prabhupada, following in the footsteps of Jayananda. And he went to New York City, and he and his brother helped Jayananda become, help them build the Rath Yatra carts back then. And it was a great Rath Yatra. I remember going to it. It was fantastic. And Prabhupada was there, of course, on the carts. It was another great occasion for all of us. So many opportunities if we had a chance to get the personal association of Prabhupada. We were always eager everywhere to travel as far as possible to see him, usually by van, a group of people, 10 or 12 people in a van, drive down into New York City, very austere conditions. But as young men, you can accept that. So we went to the Rath Yatra. After that, somehow or other, we got Murli Krishna and his brother to move to Toronto. It was a great victory for us, because to get a good man is not an easy thing. It is really, really tough. As you know, it's hard to find good association. It really is. Don't take it for granted. It is not easy. You can search and search and search. You won't find a real pure-hearted devotee, someone who understands that they are the servants of Srila Prabhupada and that is their purpose. No other pratishta, no desire for profit, adoration, and distinction. They're not interested. And that was the situation with Murli. That even though he was coming from a very rich family, prestigious family in New York, as you know, Yaśodā, nonetheless, he was a star in the Toronto temple. Absolutely. I was honored to have him work as the vice president with me. I don't think we had there was such a title, but somehow or other it started to come in and it was worthwhile. And he was a superstar in terms of representing the example of Jayananda. That's what he did. He took that position as the servant of the servant of the servant. And he was following in the footsteps of Jayananda, who was serving selflessly Prabhupada. And in this way, Murli Krishna was great. He was the best dancer, Yaśodā? Mm-hmm. We would have the morning kirtans for an hour and a half every morning. Have the Guru Puja and have the big kirtan. And we had all the equipment set up and the beautiful Didi house there we were constructing as a team. It's quite majestic and it was so blissful. And all the people were coming on Sundays and the movement was flourishing back then. We had a large group of people that were with us, Prabhupada disciples. And Murli set the highest standard. So this is big devotee. Because this yoga is not based on vapu, it's based on vani, and it's based on surrender, selfless surrender. When you hear the philosophy, you accept it as something to do, not you just ignore it. In other words, it's spoken, but you go, it doesn't relate to me. Yes, it does. Like, for example, our GoFundMe program. Everyone here should donate. Well, if they don't want to, that's okay. Because they can't connect the dots. This is a Srimad Bhagavatam reprint. This is not some kind of whimsical program that we just developed for the sake of gathering money. No, not one penny is coming to any of us that are administrating this. In fact, not only is it not coming to us, we're being very diligent with our expertise in business to qualify every person that's dealing with this to make sure there are no mistakes. Oh, yes, no mistakes. Legally and otherwise, financially. I always tell people, well, what about the legal aspects of this? What about the legalities? What about the other people? Go ahead. Take us on. Let's see how good you are. Because Prabhupada said, all his disciples carry his legacy. Hey, Yaśodā? All of my disciples carry my legacy. What does that mean? Protecting Prabhupada's legacy from people that have changed the books for the sake of personal motive, pratishta. Oh, yes, and it's gone on. And it makes some of our members quite upset. Like today, I was speaking to Krishna Kata. He goes, I think I'm going to vomit. I said, no, I didn't send this information to you so you'd get upset. But it is upsetting to see what's going on. The deception, the depth of the deception, and the extent of the poison, Janas Priya. Janas Priya uses the good example of the milk touched by urine. Would you drink milk that's touched by urine? No, never. Would you use it in your cooking? No. Would you study books that have been changed by third-class people and contaminated for the sake of personal fame, money, and social position? This disease is quite common in society, especially for people that never really did anything in their life. They never really achieved. A lot of the people joined our mission. There were nobodies. There was one devotee, he came from a nudist colony out in the West Coast, and he wanted to become Acharya. Some guy, all of a sudden, in a few years, oh, I'm Acharya. Third-class people trying to become Uttama-adhikari without going through the necessary surrendering process and trying to be somebody they're not. This is the business of the karmi. I'm around karmis, people in Hollywood and show business, because I've been in show business, and their goal is we'll make millions of dollars, we'll become famous. Everyone will know us. The paparazzi will come and take our picture. So shallow, so useless. Look at Michael Jackson, such a successful person, had everything, and look at his lifestyle. So degraded, because no training. This is the same business that's going on in spiritual circles. There are lots of spiritual leaders in Christianity, in the Islam group, in the Jewish group. They're there for profit, adoration, and distinction. And the same is going on in the ISKCON Vaishnava group. And it's very insidious, and it's spreading like a disease now, quite rampantly throughout, to a lot of naive, innocent, foolish people. And they, along with their disciples, are certainly in precarious position, unfortunately. So, at any rate, Yaśodā-nandana, maybe you could share a few thoughts and we'll move forward with our panel of discussion.
I'll make this fairly brief.
Yes.
This is a quote from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 1, Text 35. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 1, Text 35. In the purport, Prabhupada said, the Lord comes to this material world through the agency of his internal potency. And similarly, when a devotee or associate of the Lord descends to this material world, he does so through the action of the spiritual energy. So this is a very important point. Prabhupada says, any pastime conducted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead is an arrangement by Yoga Maya, not Mahamaya. Therefore, to be understood that when Jaya and Vijaya descended to this material world, they came because there was something to be done for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, it is a fact that no one falls from Vaikuntha. Then there's another very important statement in the Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Madhya Lila, chapter 18, text 99. Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Madhya Lila, chapter 18, text 99. Srila Prabhupada explains, one must see things as they are through the mercy of a spiritual master, Otherwise, if one tries to see Krishna directly, he may mistake an ordinary man for Krishna and Krishna for an ordinary man. Everyone has to see Krishna according to the verdict of the Vedic literatures presented by the self-realized spiritual master. Unless one is enlightened by the knowledge given by the spiritual master, he cannot see things as they are, even though he remains constantly with the spiritual master. This incident at Kaliyadaha is very instructive for those eager to advance in Krishna consciousness. Again, this is a very, very important point of what we were discussing earlier today. Everything has got to be understood by media of the bona fide Acharya, like Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Absolutely. And it's very important for all of us to avoid any kind of sahaja tendencies which appear in the Vaishnava environment. Because the topics of Krishna consciousness are on a very exalted level, and they are confidential, like the reading of Caitanya-caritāmṛta, as my friend Garuda knows, and I'm reading it for actually the 5th time, the entire set, and moving into the Anchalila last sections of it. There are very elevated topics that are being revealed to everyone if they read them. Now, I always hope that everyone in our group and in other groups will have the chance to read the unedited versions and get some insights into this philosophy that is very, how can I say, consoling. Because we're in the material world, we're living entities, we're struggling, we're looking for answers, we're looking for shelter. And this understanding that Prabhupada is delivering us, the highest teachings, not teachings that some people have said are less than the teachings of his godbrothers in the Gaudiya Math, but the highest teachings that are available to the living entity are available to all of us if we take the time to read these books carefully and study them personally. There's something very special there, but it can only be, just like consciousness is individual. We are individually aware of our own pains and pleasures. And we are individually aware of how we are surrendered or not surrendered. You cannot pretend. If you pretend to yourself, you're usually in denial or some kind of rationalized state of confusion based on false ego. But for the real sincere devotee that listens carefully and who has the capacity to understand it, the tremendous door to the spiritual world can open through the relationship between the devotee and his guru. This is called Guru Tattva. This is the highest level of understanding of spiritual philosophy. That's why it's stressed here in these classes, Guru Tattva. And when Guru Tattva is adulterated by misinformation and misdirection, then the followers do not get the result that they're looking for. So this is unfortunate. I'm going to have Krishna Katha, our friend in Sacramento, and it's really been a great pleasure to meet him in the last 4 or 5 months and have his association. He has a lot of experience in this entire transcendental Sankirtan pastime of Lord Chaitanya and Srila Prabhupada. Maybe you could share some of your realizations and insights today for our group here at the Prabhupada Disciples Association, Caitanya-caritāmṛta discussion and reading. Krishna Katha.
Hare Krishna, all glories to the devotees and Vaishnavas. Thank you so much for this amazing class, Yaśodā. I was driving when you were speaking, and I very much likened the potency and the well-researched topics that you were nicely dovetailing with today's verses. And it reminds me of how Gaurasindar used to finish Prabhupada's purport, and he would just close the book. And then he would get up and bow down to the deities and go to his quarters, and we would all look around and say, why no elaboration? Why no, realizations from Gaurasindar? And so we asked him, and he said, there's no reason to say anything else. Prabhupada's purport is perfect.
Yeah.
And that's what he would say. Prabhupada's purport is perfect. And of course, he was reading from the original books. So you mentioned books are the basis. The books will endure past all of this most unfortunate deviation. Not every one of these deviators are going to live forever. Like you mentioned, Vishwakarma, one of them recently left his body. And now they, kind of pomp and circumstance march through the motions of glorification when, because the original deviation has to continue to validate their misguiding other jiva souls to enroll them into the same nonsense. They, of course, put together a bunch of lofty, nice words. But you pointed out very nicely, what books was he so-called responsible for distributing? The changed books, the books that really shouldn't adorn our spiritual master's name because they're not his work. As Garuda will tell you, as Garuda is putting together an amazing conclusive proof that you cannot change the works of a great master. One letter. They render it no longer his work. This is going to be the standard from here forward, just like we are doing in this GoFundMe. And I'll put them up again. I've done this before a few times. When you give your donation, you're going to receive these 3-volume first canto set that were coming directly from the heart of Srila Prabhupada. And he brought these books with him to the United States, pleasing his spiritual master, as we are now doing, pleasing our spiritual master, reprinting identical replicas of the same books that he brought in trunks. This is such a great opportunity. There doesn't exist a higher opportunity right now in this whole universe, but to put these books back in print. So that's my realization for today. Thank you for letting me talk. There's much more senior devotees on this discussion that can say much more than I can, but thank you. Hare Krishna.
Well, thank you very much. And as far as senior, like I said, senior means servant of the servant. That is senior, not by age, but by service. And if those people that are on this program, for example, we still have $5,750 to collect with our group. And we want to thank a few people here just personally. Thank Naveen Krishna Prabhu for giving $6,000. And Dhira Govinda and Krishna Bhakta from Alachua. So the three of them grouped together, they each gave $1,000. So that's $8,000. If we have 24 people give $1,000 each, myself, I gave 1,000 Canadian. I was very happy. Drupada Prabhu gave 1,000 Canadian. And lots of other people. I'm going to get Ron Singh to speak in a minute about it and go over the list. But if we get 24 people give 1,000, that's 24,000. A lot of us had 1,000. If you don't have 1,000, if you give 500, that's all right. If you give 108, we'll also send you a T-shirt and a set of books from us when they're printed in appreciation for the $108. So $108 is basically $220 220 people. It's a little bit more of a hill to climb with 220. But whatever you give, there's Robert Barron here on the program. I've been working with Robert for the last year and a half, 2 years, and he's on social assistance type of thing, Yaśodā Prabhu, but he gave $25. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. And he showed a video to me of him going out and giving a Gita to his social worker, dropping it off. He took a video of it, and then going around and giving out an on-chanting and explaining to the guy, this is part of the Prabhupada Disciples Association classes. And this is the real, he was saying, this is the real movement, not the Hare Krishna movement in America. Don't go there, he's telling them. But he gave $20. Is it appreciated? Oh, most definitely. It's not about the money. It is about your ability to serve and your effort to help reprint these Bhagavatams, because Krishna Katha, think about it. We're doing this service. This is the first time we've ever asked for a donation for any service that we're doing for Prabhupada. And this service is exactly the same service that Prabhupada was doing when he came to America, bringing his books and selling them. And it's converting people into Krishna consciousness by giving them the opportunity to read these books. Now, someone could say, well, there's a lot of mistakes in the books, and there are spelling errors and grammar. But really, for all of us, the essence of it is the absolute truth. There is no mistake. This is a fact. We don't need anybody to tell us that this isn't the right thing. Those people are not very smart. That's all I can say. We know that this is the right thing. That's why we joined back in the early days, because we knew it was right. And it's still right. It's even better now today. And just like Prabhupada, all we're doing is reprinting them, the original books, and everything is contained with them and everyone. And when you get a copy of these books for your donation, and you read them and put them on your shelf and treasure them, you'll want to give them to your kids and your grandkids in the future after you leave your body. These are collector's items. This is not just some books. These are the original books of Srila Prabhupada that he brought personally from India. And by his mercy, we've taken up this mission, all of us. This is the most important thing going on in this planet right now. Yes, it is. These Bhagavatams. And not only the printing of them, the accumulation of the Lakshmi to do it, but after this, we can go forward and distribute them to other people and preach to them and make a class of devotees that are first class and not misled by ambitious people that are in the guru business. Ron Singh, please. I'd like you to show the GoFundMe post. Go over it with us and let us see, and then we'll end up the program. Ron Singh, please.
Okay, let me share the screen.
Yes, sir.
Where that is. Seconds. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is our GoFundMe page, as everyone can see here. We have $18,361 raised off the $24,000.
Haribo, congratulations.
I think we started this about 13 days ago.
Yeah.
And we have 48 donations from all the devotees across the world. Many devotees have given. You can see all the names here. We'll just kind of pop up the names real fast. We got a donation 51 minutes ago by Arjuna Prabhu. He is watching the class. Another donation anonymous here, $100. So I'll just kind of go down here so everyone can see. 48 donations, all the devotees. So we have a lot of subscribers who are watching, a lot of followers on Facebook, YouTube. We have two
Keep going
channels.
down. Yeah, keep
There we
going
go.
down. There's Naveen Kana. Beautiful.
Here's Naveen, Prabhu. So these are 48 devotees who have donated. So we'd like to thank them. And then anyone who else has not donated, please kindly donate. We would like to reach our goal by the end of this week. So Ishan Prabhu there, $1,000. So a lot of devotees have donated. So thank you very much. Here's our page again. Here we have. So let's reach the goal of $24,000. And we're in the background working with the printer to get these out to us as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, we've reached the end. Yaśodā, any last comments before we move to the kirtan?
I've said everything I had to say, unless you'd like to allow somebody to make some comments or question or whatever is going on.
No questions. It's all right. We've reached 9:33 p.m. here in Canada. So we're at the end of the program. Thank you, everyone. So go forward, go to the GoFundMe page, get the link. You can get it from Ron Singh or Vinkat Bhatta or any of us. Or you can go on our PDA site where it's also listed. And by the way, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, we're approaching 18,000 members. Now, if everyone there gave $20, that would be far over the goal. So we're hoping that other people out of the thousands of people that are Prabhupada disciples will step up and do something to show their surrender and commitment to the mission of Lord Chaitanya. It is a sign. It really is. When you step up and give some money for a pure project like this, this is not a small thing. This is a great. Look at it like this, everyone. This is your opportunity to serve Srila Prabhupada directly. It's your opportunity. And all of us that are working behind the scenes to make it happen, we're taking advantage of the opportunity to get the mercy of Prabhupada and gain the attention of Krishna. Prabhupada told us, do not try to see Krishna, but work in such a way that Krishna will want to see you. And one of the best ways that you can do that, besides all of the other things that you're doing to serve Krishna, is support this GoFundMe drive to reprint the original Delhi Bhagavatams by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. Haribol. Let's go for the
Hare Krishna.
kirtan. Vinkat Bhatta, please. Thank you.
Jai Haribol.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desired trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Hare Krishna. Thanks everybody for participating. We'll see you all on Saturday morning at 7 o'clock Pacific time, or corresponding to 10 o'clock a.m. Hamilton, Ontario time, or East Coast time. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Bol.
Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnava Vangscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathannitam Tang Sajivam Sadaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Caitanya